we're going to take a look at strength finders from 30,000 feet above. And you like the picture that I found? I could have picked snow. So I picked blue water, 30,000 feet. There's no way that we can possibly spend enough time together talking about all that is involved in strength finders. My training was nearly 40 hours of training, and we're going to condense it into 6 hours of discussions. Most of what we do together will be group work, talking one-on-one, up, moving around, and whatnot. So I'm going to apologize now that if you're somebody that doesn't really have their top 5 talents in the relationship building and wooing and all of that, by the end of the 6 hours, you will have better enjoyed those particular talents. So from 30,000 feet, we're going to give you a lot of information in a very little amount of time. The other thing that I will be doing is sending you home with a lot of information that we might not have time covering. That is for you to enjoy. There's absolutely no homework here. What I send you home with is for you to expand upon what we might have talked about in our time together, using the book and using the information that you might find on the Gallup websites. So from 30,000 feet, what we're going to do in today's session is become familiar with the talents, the top 34, the 34 talents that we have, your top 5. We're leaving APPR Common Core at home, and I beg you, please, we're not here to talk about that. More than 30 hours of training, we're going to condense it into 6 hours of training. Little to no discussion will be held on the strength-based leadership book. You are all given this book. I have worked really hard over the past few weeks trying to condense all of this into six hours, trying to find a way to build this in. It's virtually impossible. Ms. Rad and I had some conversation, and we all agreed that if there was a way we could come back together, maybe for a session or 2 over the summer, that's when we would talk about this book. You are all being given this book, but it's really for you to maybe read on your own, and then possibly we might be able to come back together over the summer for those of you that are interested. Okay? Strength Finders resources. You probably have found that, and it was a frustration of mine, that Gallup Corporation has many, 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 many websites, and it's very confusing. GallupStrengthCenter.com is the website that you want to always go to. It's the place where you're going to find your videos, the place that you're going to find your reports, the place that you're going to find your resources. That is the place to go. That is also the place for you to go if you'd like to consider purchasing the remaining 29 of your top, of your 34 talents at a price of $79. Gallup makes a lot of money off of this, but I believe in it, so I'm going to give them that little pitch. GallupStrengthCenter.com is the place to go. The objectives: we're going to define talent, theme, strength. We're going to discuss the conventional approach to living life, personally and professionally, and we're going to discuss the strength-based approach to living life personally and professionally. We're going to identify in basic terms all of the themes, all 34. You are going to help do that in the first person, and you'll understand that when we get there. You're going to discuss them with other people. You're going to define in basic terms your own talents, and I'm going to give you some documents to help you do that. Discuss the balconies and the basements of each talent. Essentially, a balcony is the best that a talent has. It's the best way for you to view, interpret a talent. And then there's the not so good way to view and interpret a talent. And I gave you an example of the woo as people considering that an arrogant talent. So I have to recognize that, and as I flex my woo muscles, have to recognize that there are certain things that I shouldn't do if I don't want people to think that I'm arrogant. So we'll talk about basements and balconies. We're going to give you some things to take home, and I'm going to give you some resources as well. But please know there is no homework, okay? Just come and enjoy. Any questions with all of that? Any of those things that I just talked about? I've been given permission because I've been trained by Gallup to take their documents, use them, modify them, put them into PowerPoint presentations and whatnot. So many of these I have actually created myself. The Gallup ones don't necessarily look as friendly. and whatnot. So forgive me if there's some misspelled words. I tried really hard to get it right, but there may be here and there. Over the next several weeks, we've got to determine how it is that we're going to take, again, more than 30 hours of training and condense it. So we're going to talk about our strengths in 3 different languages. Integrity, that's who am I? You're going to ask yourself and answer the question, who am I? Integration, what makes me unique? Again, in this room here, take yourself out of the world that you live in 8 hours a day here at school and look at who you are as a person and what makes you unique as a person. You're going to be forced to bring yourself back into the workplace, but we're talking just as much about who you are as an individual as who you are as an educator. And strengths innovation, what makes me successful? So over the next 6 weeks or 6 hours, we're going to be plotting our course in these 3 different areas of strengths. So why strengths? Well, this is a quote, and it's unattributed, but basically, essentially it says what lies behind us and what lies before us are really very tiny matters compared to what lies within us. That's what strengths is who we are. Not all of the minutiae of the life that we live in our personal and professional lives. It's who we are within us. That's why I chose to be involved in strength. The key to success. Gallup. Did anybody take the time to at least open up the white paper that I sent you? Did you get the white paper email? Well, there's a lot of research, 60-something pages on research as to how it is that this work was done, how it is that they came to agree that successful people work off of their strengths and their talents, and they don't necessarily focus on the bad in their lives. They focus on capitalizing and flexing their strength muscles. So essentially that's the key to success, is to fully understand how to apply your talents and strengths in our everyday lives. People working in a strength zone. Gallup has determined that they look forward to going to work. How many of you look forward to going to work? I do. I absolutely love my job. Have more positive than negative interactions with their coworkers. I can tell you this, and think about this yourselves. Do you tend to surround yourself with negative people? People that focus on talents and strengths tend not to wallow in the negative, whether it be in the workplace or friendships or family at home. I avoid that part of my family that just doesn't make me happy when I'm with them. I have family members in here? No. Treat customers better. The word customer, I actually like it, but it's there because this is actually one of the slides. Gallup Corporation, the majority of their training is with Fortune 500 companies. So you're going to see words like customer, you're going to see words like business, you're going to see words like client embedded in some of these slides. And that's because it's a Gallup thing and whatnot. People who work in their strength zone tell their friends that they work for a great company. How many of you work for a great company? There's a lot of Broadalbin people here. You better get your hands up. Achieve more on a daily basis and have more positive, creative, and innovative moments. Essentially, if you're working in your strengths and in your talents, you're just loving life. Everything about life, you're loving it. We're going to do a little bit of an activity here just to get our blood flowing. I'm going to put some comments up on the board. I want you to stand up if this is you. So I'm going to click the button. Words are going to come across the screen. Stand up if this is you, and I want you to turn around and look throughout the room and to see if you're alone. Now, I've already done this activity here in Broadalbin-Perth. It's a really awesome moment when you stand up and you look around and there's nobody else standing but you. So are we ready? Get yourselves ready because you're going to be standing, hopefully. Stand up if you talk to people in elevators, airplanes, grocery stores, wherever you go. Now, as you're standing, think about your talents and your strengths. Okay. You can sit back down. I, for one, I found this out, well, I've known this for a while, but in Washington, D.C., the hotel room that I was in, I always found myself in the elevator with just one person. And guess what I do? And I'm I've got some building relationships talents. I have a hard time making eye contact with people and whatnot. That's strange for me. Stand up if you have color-coded or otherwise organized closet. Wow. We have a lot of executors and strategic people in this room. Great job. All right. That tells us something about all of you people. Stand up if you write down a list of things to do and stick to it. Now, I'm constantly, thank you, you can sit down. I'm constantly half of that. I'm making the list, and I never stick to it. In fact, I lose it half the time. And I do this in my office quite often. Stand up if you make a list of things to do on the weekends. All right, you got serious problems, people. Stand up if you need to pick someone to race while driving. Awesome. That's great. I got to tell you, I was jumping up and down when this one came up. You can sit down now. I told the story. I was coming back from the airport, and when I come back from Albany, I tend to take back roads, and I was on Route 5, and there was this red Toyota Camry that kind of caught up with me on Route 7 coming from the backside of the airport, and it was still with me when I got into 890. And finally, I just put the pedal to the metal and said, that person's not going to beat me. And I hate when I drive, I don't like people in front of me. I want to be the person in front. So yes, that is me. Stand up if you ask too many questions. Fantastic. I love this one. Stand up if you push the button to remind the elevator that you are there. All right. That's just a little bit of an activity to get you to start thinking about the true fabric of who you are. Most of the time when you stood up to some of those comments, that wasn't because you were trained that way. That's because that's who you are. It's not because you were educated in a certain way and whatnot. That's really what we're going to spend the next several hours talking about. Everyone has talent. Everyone. That's really important for people to know, because sometimes we surround ourselves with people that we ask questions about, how do they even exist? That's because we don't understand who they are. And when we force ourselves to understand the value in other people is when this stuff really becomes awesome and fun. Talent. This is one of those things that we want to now get to the nitty-gritty. Talent is a naturally recurring pattern of thought, feeling, or behavior that can be productively applied. When you took the online assessment, how many seconds did they give you to answer the questions? 20. How many people did that really bother, that you only had 20 seconds and you could not take the time to think about it? Put your hands up high. I want people to look around the room. That's going to tell you a little bit of something about your talents. They gave you 20 seconds for a reason, and that is, do you think your talents would be different, your top 5 talents would be different, if you had as long as you wanted to think about the answer? They absolutely would be. And that is because we're digging for who we are, and that is our gut reaction to a response and whatnot. Now, is there a variable, a reliability factor in this research that says that somebody might have gotten the same top 5 if they had as long as they wanted to think about it? Sure, there are outliers. But the reality is they gave you 20 seconds for a reason, because we want to get to your natural recurring patterns of thought and actions. That's why you only had 20 seconds. Did anybody take the easy way out and just hit, what's the middle one called? Neutral. Some of them, you weren't sure how you would respond, and you knew that clock was ticking, so you took the easy way out, and I don't want to offend anybody saying the easy way out. but there were some that we were forced to take the neutral response on. But that's the psychometrics of the Gallup survey, is that there are over 12 million people today that have taken the Gallup survey. And of those 12 million people, that's a lot of data that they can use to determine the psychometrics to make sure that the results are valid and reliable. So just because you might have chosen neutral on 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 questions, that still produces some fairly accurate results for all of you. And by the way, in my training, we were told that there was one person out of the 12 million that actually, and I find this hard to believe, I would have thought that it would have been a lot more than this. Only one person out of 12 million picked neutral for every question. Now, we laughed about that. We all thought that that was just somebody that was a disgruntled employee that really did not feel like being forced to take this online assessment. So they were going to fool everybody and just pick neutral on everything. Kind of like many of our students today with our state assessment system that don't really feel like being used as a tool for evaluating all of us, so that they just fill in the dots and they create Christmas trees and nice patterns with their bubbles and whatnot. So examples of talent. You're effortlessly and instinctively starting conversations. If that's you, then you absolutely are going to be in the relationship building domain. Thinking in an orderly or timely manner, you're most likely going to be in the executing or strategic domain. Being able to easily influence others. Raise your hand and don't be embarrassed if you think that you have a talent where you can easily influence others. That's not a bad thing. I would absolutely expect and hope that our basketball coach would raise his hand. Absolutely. There are people. That's actually, all of my talents are in influencing and relationship building. I'm a superintendent of a public school that has to convince thousands of taxpayers that what we do is the right thing, so please keep giving us your money. It better be something that is a talent of mine. Seeing patterns in data. Raise your hand if you know that's you. Yeah. What we're talking about here is it's easy. It's natural. The word natural will keep coming up. It's natural. That's the talents and the strengths. And the last one is consistently having a positive outlook on life. If that comes natural, raise your hand. If that comes natural to you, then join my club. Hello there.
Do I have to sit in any special spot?
You can sit right there in front.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Julie, let me give you a packet of paper, and we'll have you. Oh, absolutely. Let's have you girls sign in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we're going to go through a few more slides before we get into some activities here. People who focus on using their strengths are maximizing their potential. You are absolutely working at your maximum potential when you're focusing on what you do that's good in life and that's good in who you are. There are actually there's some research says that people who learn to use their strengths every day have a 7.8% greater productivity, whether it be in your relationships with your children at home. And yeah, there are productive relationships and not so productive relationships with young children, or whether it be in the data and what you do in educating your kids. We all know that we're surrounded by data and education. Teams. Later on in our time together, we're going to be talking about teams and how we can use this research to help build productive teams. Research says that teams are 8.9% more productive when they focus on their strengths. So the research shows that strengths can lead to more productivity. Please take out a sheet of paper. And you know, I didn't bring any paper, so hopefully it doesn't have to be. You can turn to the back of your nameplate or share with somebody. Your notes, any sheet of paper. And by the way, I will never collect anything. I'm not collecting anything. You're going to draw a line down the middle of your sheet of paper. So you're going to create a left-hand column and a right-hand column. Do not do this yet. Mr. Schuyler, am I talking too loud, or am I doing everything the way I should? All right? I saw you take those off. Is that because I'm yelling?
No.
Okay.
I only hear out of one phone, and I want to listen.
I only hear out of one ear all the time. That's natural. So I get. It's just, yeah. Okay. Piece of paper, left column, right column. We're going to do this activity a couple times until we get it right. I'm going to time you. You're going to write this following phrase 3 times. I use my strengths every day. I'm going to press go on my clock, and you're going to get 1 minute.
On the right or the left?
I'm sorry?
Which side of the paper?
On the right or the left side of the sheet of paper? You're going to be writing it. That's a great question. You're going to write on the left side of your piece of paper. You're going to get 1 minute. Raise your pencil when you are done. One last direction. You have to write this with your non-dominant hand. And it has to be legible. Are we ready? Go.
I don't know what happened.
Why are you-
I might need another paper.
You're rushing, Amanda.
Nice. Oops, I'm sorry. Stop. Okay. Now, of course, we're going to enjoy using our dominant hand and writing the same phrase. I'm going to give you a minute, and I want to see those pencils pop up really fast when you're done writing. Ready? Go. Okay, I'm going to stop. Most of you were done within 30 seconds. So I want you to take just a brief moment to quietly think about your feelings, what you felt during the first exercise where you were working on your non-dominant side. Let's think about your feelings just for a few seconds. Raise your hand if you can think of one word that would describe how you felt during that activity working off of your dominant side. I'm sorry?
Dominant or non?
No, I'm sorry, non-dominant. Non-dominant. Amanda? Challenging.
Frustrated?
Frustrated.
Cautious.
Yep. Pressure. Anxious.
Uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable. Focused. I like that one. Focused. Motivating. So that was a very simple activity that forced you into a very uncomfortable environment. However, what I'm actually very happy to hear is that some of you, it seems like you thrive in that environment. You became more focused. It was motivating and whatnot. Now think about when you were working on your dominant side. What were the thoughts? Raise your hand if you have a one word to describe your thought on your dominant side.
I felt pressure because I could hear her going. And I felt non-threatened the first time and pressure the second.
We're going to come back to that. That's a really important statement. Pressure. When you know and other people know you are working in your area of strength or you're dominant, you can be looked at as strength, there was pressure. What else?
Relaxed.
I didn't.
Relaxed.
Relaxed. Okay.
Ease.
Confident.
Ease.
Ease.
There's a sense of ease.
So, I think what we have to understand with this, and this activity sort of forces us to feel what it's like to be in an environment where we're not working off of our talent or our strength, and what the basement could be if we are working in our talent and our strength and we get too comfortable with that and we don't take the time to stay focused and motivated in what we do. There's not any more meaning to this activity than what we just talked about. It's really getting you to the root feeling of any activity. And that activity being either it's comfortable for you, it comes natural, which is your talent, or it doesn't come natural, which is a non-dominant talent. We're going to move on. Donald Clifton. If you read the book, or if you spent a little bit of time on the Gallup website, you would recognize that Donald Clifton is essentially the creator of Strength Finders. He says that what will happen when we think about what is right with people rather than fixating on what is wrong with people. And that's essentially why it is I love working with strengths. We're not fixating on the wrong, we're focusing on what is right. The current CEO of the Gallup Corporation is his son. And I was fortunate enough to actually stand in a room with this billionaire guy and have a chat with him and whatnot. And it's an interesting organization because they spend a lot of time, Gallup Corporation, spends a lot of time giving back. And I was able to be at a Gallup brought in, they bring in once a month an author. And they brought in Tim Shriver. Does anybody know who Tim Shriver is? Tim Shriver is the son of Eunice Shriver, who is the sister of John F. Kennedy. So Tim Shriver is actually John F. Kennedy's nephew. And he is the chairperson of the Special Olympics. His mother, Eunice, actually created Special Olympics along with, I'm going to draw a blank, somebody really famous. I'm sorry?
Maria Schreier?
Well, Maria, she's a part of the family, obviously, but she didn't. She's not the one. I'll figure it out by the end of this session. But anyways, Tim Shriver wrote a book, and his most recent book was about the impact of Special Olympics. He was actually an educator for 15 years in Connecticut, a special education teacher. So Kennedy actually went into education. That's awesome to hear. But anyways, that's the Gallup Corporation, is that they spend a lot of time giving back, and they work with Fortune 500 companies. But this guy here, son, still runs the organization. So again, how do we get from talent to strength? Because we can easily interchange the word, and you've heard me interchange the word quite often here, and I will be guilty of that, interchanging talent and strength. Do we think that a talent is automatically a strength? I think that's something we're going to learn, is that no, not necessarily at all. A talent doesn't become a strength until you flex its muscle and when you cultivate it. So when we leave here today, we're all now going to be really fired up over our top 5 talents, and we're going to be thinking about how it is that we can individually cultivate that talent. In other words, we planted the seed, we're going to now nurture that seed. We're going to cultivate that seed and take that individual talent and hopefully cultivate it into a strength. Okay? Comment there. There's nothing wrong with being aware of our weaknesses and managing them. We all have weaknesses. But our greatest opportunity lies in building on our natural talents. I want to talk a little bit about the weaknesses because some of you, actually I threw a video in there, so we're going to watch the video first. But some of you, after this video, we're going to talk about what weaknesses are. If you find yourselves intrigued enough by this to actually go in and purchase your full 34, you might find yourself saying, well, talent number 29 is a weakness. None of them are weaknesses. They're actually talents, just not as prevalent in your daily lives as your top 5 would be. We'll get into that, and we're also, after this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the conventional side of living life and the standards-based side of living life. Let's hope this video works.
Is zillion a real number? No, zillion's not a real number, but it is a word you might be tempted to use if you tried to list all the talents found among humankind. Creating a list of every talent is an impossible task, but if you step back, you'll see that talents often have something in common, a theme that connects them. Some talents, like a natural tendency to share thoughts, to create engaging stories, and to find the perfect word, relate directly to communication. That's what they have in common, their theme. So, to begin thinking and talking about them, we can call them communication talents. The Clifton Strengths Finder measures the presence of talent in 34 general areas or themes. Your Clifton Strengths Finder report includes a ranked listing of the 5 themes that hold your most dominant talents, your signature themes. Similar to your fingerprint, the sequence of your themes is unique to you. The odds that someone has the same 5 signature themes in the same order as you are 1 in 33 million. You heard right, 1 in 33 million. Your report is a beginning, not an end. Take this opportunity to explore your talents, harness their power, and bring them to life every day. Try this. First, name it. To begin making your signature themes your own, grab a highlighter. Carefully consider each theme description in your report. Highlight words and phrases that specifically resonate with you. You'll know you're highlighting the right things when you hear yourself say, "That's me." Next, claim it. Post your signature themes and the words or phrases you have highlighted in a place where you'll see them every day. Share your report with people close to you. Ask for their reaction. Then, aim it. Pick one of your signature themes and think about it for a day. Ask yourself, how can I use this theme today? Where can this theme make a positive difference in my life today? Begin to flex this theme by using the action items provided in your report to hone your talents into strengths. Like muscles, strengths can wither if they're not exercised regularly. What will be your daily practice to stay in tip-top shape? Once you are deliberately using this theme every day, focus on another signature theme. As you start to flex each of your signature themes, you'll find ways to build on your greatest areas of potential. Our talents are an instinctive and intuitive source of wisdom and power. When we begin to intentionally tap into this power, we gain the ability to transform every moment, every interaction, and every day. You have dynamic talents just waiting to be unlocked and developed. Use your Clifton Strengths Finder report to name, claim, and aim your signature themes.
So that's just a little propaganda that I have to put into my PowerPoint trainings and whatnot. But essentially it gives you quite a bit of an overview as to just really what the importance of flexing your talents is. and cultivating them into strengths. It mentioned in the video naming it, claiming it, and then aiming it. I brought with me some information that all of you will, by the time you leave today, you're going to want to come to the folder of each of your top 5. We'll find a way that we can do this in an organized manner. But in each folder, there is a one-page document that will give you lots of different information on each talent. This is going to be part of an activity that I'm going to give you to take home if you choose to complete. Because what it'll do is it'll help you claim your talent by actually highlighting bits and pieces of information that make sense to you on a particular talent. So we'll get to that a little bit later. So conventional versus strength-based development. The conventional-based development is simply maintaining each person's strengths and working on fixing our weaknesses. So as you can see, I've created 2 identical charts here, 2 identical or similar descriptions, and then different actions and what the results are. So in the conventional-based, we're going to end up focusing and fixing our weaknesses. In the strength-based, we're going to focus on each person's strength and manage around our weaknesses. So we're intentionally working around the things that we don't do well and not intentionally trying to fix them. Now, you're going to go back, don't go back to your district and say, well, Mr. Tomlinson said, my scores are low and I don't need to fix them, so he's right, you're wrong. That'll just get me in trouble. That's obviously put all of this in perspective. But I'm talking about more personal and less professional character traits and whatnot. So again, in the conventional, we're identifying improvement areas. How often do we do that? And we're going to develop an improvement plan to fix the improvement areas. Most, if not all, behaviors can be learned. That's the difference between strengths and conventional. Most, if not all, behaviors can be learned. What we're saying in the strength base is it's natural. The best in a role display the same behaviors. In weaknesses, fixing leads to success. And we know for many people that is the way that they feel comfortable living their life, and that's perfectly fine. What we're saying is, in the strength-based approach, we're going to identify our talents, and we're going to develop our strengths through identifying those talents. And what do we get out of it? Only some behaviors can be learned. That's skill and knowledge. So absolutely, all of us, if we believe in strengths, we know that we can learn more, and we can develop skills, whether it's throwing a fastball, a curveball, or writing manuscripts and whatnot. We know that through work we can get better at that. The best in a role deliver the same outcomes using different behaviors. And then lastly, weaknesses fixing prevents failure. Strengths building leads to success. That's the difference between the conventional development and the strengths-based development. By the way, I'm going to share these slides with you as well. Let's talk a little bit about weaknesses. A weakness is something that gets in our way or in the way of others. Is there a talent or a lack of talent that's currently getting in our way or in the way of others? I want you to think about that. Is there something right now, a weakness or a talent that's getting in any one of our personal or professional lives? Is there something that you aren't good at that isn't a weakness? Is it a non-strength? The definition of a weakness is lack, oh, there's a spelling error, skill or knowledge. To the non-strength, is it an overused strength? We're going to get to that a little bit later in our session. Is it an underused strength? The way to mitigate weaknesses is through open communication and transparency, getting the right training, leveraging your other talents, using support systems, form complementary partnerships, and adjusting or changing your role. A lot of that will come in when we start to talk about talents and strengths through teaming, which we will do the next couple of sessions. I thought this quote was really good by Don Clifton. A talent is like a precious jewel. It can be covered by dirt, yet it is unchanged by the dirt. Through the process of development, we bring the jewel into the light where it can shine. And that's what talents are. Just a few more words about talents. Talents describe us, they influence our choices, they direct our actions, they explain who we are or why we are better at some things than others, and they help us filter our world. They hold great potential for all of us. Okay, we're going to be doing an activity. In your packet, you have a sheet that looks like a round wheel with arrows. That chart goes along with this chart here, and I just want to take a moment to talk a little bit about this chart. When I left Washington, D.C., one of the things that they stressed the most, because I have to take an online assessment to make sure that they know that I'm smart enough to get out and teach all of this activity. This was one of the things that they stressed the most, is making sure that our strength-based participants understood the 5 areas of understanding how a talent surfaces in one another. These are 5 clues that you might have a particular talent. Yearning. To what kinds of activities are you naturally drawn to? Rapid learning. What kinds of activities do you seem to pick up quickly? Flow. In what activities did you automatically know the steps to be taken? Glimpses of excellence. What sorts of activities do you naturally do well? And satisfaction. What kinds of activity gives you energy and a sense of passion? So what I'd like you to do, and we're going to talk a little bit about this at your table, is take 5 minutes on your own. And I intentionally did not give you a lot of room to write, but I see some of you are already doing it. And that is, under each of these 5 clues of a talent, write a particular moment, instance, time in your life when you feel that yearning is an example, that this particular moment in time is an example of how I know that that's a talent of mine. For example, flow. And what activities did you automatically know the steps to be taken? I grew up loving baseball. It didn't take my coach time to teach me how to run the base paths. It was something that I went out and did naturally. So that could be considered flow. So I would write that down under flow. I ran the base paths naturally and whatnot. Take the time to just write down different words of an instance in your life when you know that one of those moments would fit under one of these 5 clues of a talent. Give you a few minutes to do that.
Yeah, with the kind of defining what the different parts of the path are. Can you go back to the?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. so-
If you look quickly at the next slide, and it's actually on yours, no, it's not on your sheet. I'm going to flip to the next slide quickly. The activity is called a time when you are at your best. That's another way of considering this, is write down a time when you are at your best under one of those particular clues that you might possibly have a talent in that particular area, in any particular area. I'm going to challenge all of you. Within your table, I'd like to ask that you talk with your people at your table, and hopefully there's at least one person at the table that can make reference to one of the 5 clues to a talent. Everybody understand that activity? So I might, in my table, give an example of a moment in my life when I was at my best under glimpses of excellence. Somebody else at my table might make reference to yearning. We're going to take about 5 minutes at your table to discuss these clues to talent. Go ahead. The different colors that you see, the maroon, they are the top 5. The blue, now for people in Broadalbin-Perth, some of them have already purchased the full 34 through a grant that we have. So the next 5 in blue are 6 through 10. In Strength Finder's language, the dominant or significant traits are 1 through 10. The non-dominant traits are 30, 31, 32. What is it? Yeah, 30 through 34 are the lesser dominant traits. They're not weaknesses, they're lesser dominant traits. So in Strength Finder, and we won't have time to do this within the hours that we have, but the most important work is done within your talents when you know your bottom 5 and when you know your top 10. That's when they really start to make sense. So different domains. This domain here is the executing domain. These are the people that get things done. This domain here are the influencers, the people that can help us spread activities in our district. These are the relationship builders, and these are the strategic thinkers. So for me, as a superintendent, working with my leadership team and working with my building administrators who are also working with their people on their team, is you can look to see who do we rely on to get things done? Who do we rely on to spread good work and to influence and to execute and strategize and whatnot? And then on rare occasions, you will see that a particular building might not have any top 5 strengths in a particular area. Now, I've already populated this, so I don't think you can. Actually, you can. So the Broadalbin-Perth High School, they have nobody that's in the influencing domain. So we can look at that as good or bad, and we're working through that. But it's something for us to recognize when we're talking about spreading different ideas, when we're talking about making things happen. They are very strategic. Almost all of their people that have done this work so far, a good portion of them are in the strategic domain. So this is to come. This is later on. But every organization, every district will get this. And it'll help you make sense of the work that you're doing as a team. So getting back to what we do today, we're focusing on ourselves today. That's going back to that chart that talks about integrity. Today we're all about strength, integrity, making sure that we fully understand the talents. Who am I? That's the focus of today. That's also the focus of the next 45 minutes, is that I'm actually going to be putting all of you, for some of you, in an uncomfortable position to have to stand up and to actually read off of that screen. What you will be reading in the first person. So you're going to own it. You're going to claim it. We're going to be, and this is probably another 10 minutes or so, we're going to be getting to that activity. And what it's going to do is it's going to help all of us better understand all 34 talents. For some of you, you've actually already been through this if you've had some training with me previously. First person, I'm going to just randomly choose you. I'm going to start out by doing that. I'm going to start out by asking you who had it in there as a number 1 talent. If it was number 1 and there were 3 of you, I'm just going to randomly pick one of you. For some of you, you will be the only person in this room that had that as their top talent. Then you will be the one reading it. It'll all make sense when we get there. I'm just trying to give you an overview of where we're at and where we're going. So, a really important part of the Strength Finders research is understanding the guiding principles of talents. These are very, very important because they will help you better accept them. Talents are neutral. I've had some people say over the past few months, I don't like that talent. That's not a good talent. This is a better talent to have. Why are all of my talents in a certain domain? The talents and the domains, which is executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic, they are neutral. In our research, we don't say one is better than another. Because essentially, in doing so, we're saying Brian's better than me. And that's not the nature of strengths. Talents are not labels. They lead with positive intent. Everything that we do in strength-based training is in the positive intent. Differences are advantages, and that's what we're working through with the high school leadership team right now, is that not having influencers on their team ultimately will end up leading to an advantage. And people need one another. That's the virtue of all of this. If any of you have come here participating in these activities, wanting to live life in isolation, you can do that on your own, but if you're here with me, you're going to be part of the group. And that's just part of the strength-based training. Talent versus strength. We talked a little bit about this. Again, I'm going to review it, and we're going to over and over talk about this today. Naturally recurring pattern of thought, feeling, or behavior that can be productively applied. That's your talent. The strength is the ability to provide consistent, near-perfect performance in an activity related to that talent. Just another slide. Talent times investment is strength. This slide here, what I did is I took a lot of information from Strength Finders, and I've got boxes and boxes of resources, and put it all together in one slide just to further stress the importance of our talents. People who focus on using their talents are 3 times as likely to report having an excellent quality of life. 3 times if you're focusing on your talents. They're 6 times as likely to be engaged in their jobs. People, and I put in parentheses teachers, working in their strength zone, they look forward to coming to work, have more positive than negative interactions with coworkers and students, treat their colleagues and their students better. I'll share a little bit of me personally. My biggest pet peeve, where I literally go from a temperature of normal to a temperature of boiling, is when I see people not treat students or their colleagues respectfully. Whether it be a very sharp statement towards somebody in a meeting, whether it be mistreating students in public, that is, I can tolerate 0 performance on state assessments and whatnot. I personally can and don't tolerate that particular one right there. Positivity is the name of the game. Tell their friends that they work for a great school district. Well, we already know that we do that. Achieve more on a daily basis and have more positive, creative, and innovative moments. A lot of that was on previous slides. This is the activity that will take us, it's a very important activity. It'll take us about 20 minutes to do this. You are all going to do the activity. I will select you. At the end, we're going to be completing an activity using a theme map. Do all of you have 5 theme maps in front of you? You should have at least 1, but there should be 5 theme maps. The theme map activity that we're going to do at the end, we will share it out loud. I'm going to ask people to stand up and let their guard down and share it with the group. This activity is leading up to that activity. You should all have on your table theme insight cards. Can somebody just grab that and hold it up so that we make sure that you all have them? Okay, perfect. Those cards. Ah! You could feel free to open up the theme insight cards right now if you'd like. Essentially what they are is additional information specific to each theme. They would open up on the end. Yep. Who in this room had Achiever as their #1 talent? If you can't answer that just like that, then you got to make sure these are ingrained in your mind. #1 is Achiever. Julie, would you please stand up, Julie, and read for us in the first person that screen right there. Everybody please listen, because we're going to do this 34 times for all 34 talents.
So I need to change.
I wish I could make it, you know what, I should be able to make this bigger, right?
You did have it bigger.
There we go.
So I need to change it to first person?
Yes, please.
I am a driven person who constantly needs achievement, whether they are small tasks in a day or big projects and achievements that are attained in the long term. Achievers need to live with constant discontent, often wanting to do and strive for more. I have the energy to work long hours without burning out and am always on the lookout for new challenges and conquests.
Let's give Julie a huge round of applause. In the midst of this activity, the last time that I did this, I came up with a brilliant idea of making us own it more by making it first person. So that is a challenge, to read that really for the first time and spin it around to the first person. So Julie, thank you very much for stepping out. The other thing I want to say about this, I'll give you the statistics next time we get together. These are in order of how popular they are. The #1 talent out of 12.8 million, I think it was a few weeks ago when I did this training, was Achiever. That makes sense. So they are in order of how popular they are out of 12 million people. Who has responsibility as their #1? #2. You #1?
Yeah.
Please stand up.
I can't see though. I'm gonna have a
You can walk right up.
I'm really old.
Don't pay attention to the number. I reordered them to make sure that they were consistent with how popular they are.
Okay, I am dependable and committed to responsibilities and tasks assigned to me. People take comfort in my abilities and trust what I can do, since I avoid excuses and strive to do my best no matter what. I are often the rock of any company. I live up to my commitments and find it hard to work with people who don't.
Do you believe that's you?
I do.
Excellent. Give her a round of applause. Excellent. Learner. Any #1 learners? Top talent. Amanda, please stand up.
I like to learn and keep a healthy attitude toward new tasks. I will always be drawn to the process of learning, and this will stimulate me and recharge me to strive for the best in my work, developing competence constantly in numerous fields or interests that I pursue.
Do you agree with that? Is that
Yes, I
you?
do.
Round of applause for Amanda. Achiever, consistent with who you believe?
Yeah.
You are? Excellent. Relator. This is probably going to be a popular one. Can anybody have it as #1? Mrs. Tomlinson, would you please stand up?
It is on my, he had it wrong on the, okay. I take great pride in the people I know and strive to transform strangers into friends who can help me in numerous tasks. I never run out of people to talk to, and people gravitate towards me. I value relationships and the loyalty of friends above all. This is why people often trust me and would do almost anything for me.
Let's give a round of applause. Is that accurate? Yes, I am. Strategic. Did anyone have strategic as their #1? Mrs. Hartley, would you please stand up and read that?
I have a distinct way of thinking. I can't read it. I have a distinct way of thinking, and I'm able to sort through chaos and find the best strategies to overcome difficulties. Because I am a unique problem solver, problem-solving skills. I am inquisitive and often see the different possibilities in situations when they, where they are, whatever that word is. That was me, yeah,
That was fine. Thank you, Cindy. Input. Anyone have input? Mrs. Dissolve.
All right, now I have to get close too. I'm inquisitive and have skills in collecting information, ideas, facts, and even small objects that are of importance to myself. I take interest in small things others generally take for granted. It keeps my mind fresh, and some days my attention in detail will prove valuable.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Mrs. Dissolve. We got to put some life into these hands. Harmony. I'm going to go with the back of the room.
Okay.
Mrs. Darling.
I look for areas of agreement. I manage conflict well and maintain a healthy balance between things that could possibly collide. I believe in keeping a cordial atmosphere and strive to create spaces and interactions to make people work better and more efficiently.
Excellent. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that.
You don't?
No, I do.
You do. Empathy, one of the most popular ones. Empathy, at least in all of this, the information that's coming to me. Empathy. Who had it number one?
I can't.
Mrs. Words, would you?
I gotta come up. I know. I might need to.
It's a common theme around here.
I know. I am sensitive to the emotions of people around me. I am intuitive and see other people's perspectives and understand them the best I can. I help people express what they often cannot express themselves. As a result, other people are often drawn to me.
Thank you very much. Do you agree? Adaptability. Mrs. Floyd.
I am adaptable and live in the moment. While I may not have a fixed idea of what the future holds for me, I craft my future out of the choices I make right now. I am a very flexible person who can stay productive when the demands of work are pulling me in many different directions all at once, and I am not shaken by changes and the unexpected.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Floyd. How do you feel about that?
Yep. Sounds good right now.
Restorative. Top two. Top three. Lindsay.
Okay. I'm a problem solver who rises to the occasion when everyone else is about to give up. While others see problems as setbacks, I am thrilled by the challenge it presents. I learn well from problems and prove my mettle in tasks that everyone else would find daunting.
Excellent. Positivity. Mr. Vacazonis.
I always see the silver lining in everything. I brim with optimism, celebrating every achievement while trying to make the most with every failure to move forward the best way possible. People find me infectious and often want to be around me, since I inspire them to work better most of the time and feel good around me.
How do you feel about that?
Absolutely.
Good. Developer, any? We'll have developers top 1, 2, 3.
I always see, the potential in others and in a given situation and strive to maintain the potential I see. I am charismatic and interact well with others, often seeing their strengths rather than their weaknesses. I see what others fail to see and make sure to make the most of it.
Excellent. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Good. Good. Thank you. Maximizer. Top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to read it because this is my number 5 and it's actually my favorite. Maximizer. I strive for excellence and am hard to please. I am not satisfied with mediocrity and I often strive to overcome it by focusing on strengths. I have the intrinsic ability of figuring out a way to make the most of the strengths I recognize. That's my favorite. And yes, that is me. Individualization. Anybody have this in their top 1, 2, 3, 4? All right, Kelly, I'd like to hear you.
I recognize the uniqueness in each person. I often avoid categorizations because I can see through differences no matter how obscure they are. I have a knack for figuring out each person's strength, and I use this knowledge to draw out the best in each person.
Excellent. Do you agree?
Yes.
Excellent. Ideation. Anybody have that as the top? Number 2, number 3, 4, 5. Did anybody have that in their top 5? Okay, I'll read it. I am fascinated by ideas. I seek to find the simple concept that defines a series of complex problems. I am unfazed by challenges and often seek those thoughts that explain how and why things have turned out the way they did. Ideation. Arranger. Anybody top 1, 2, 3?
Faced with a complex situation, I enjoy managing all the variables involved until I arrive at the most productive configuration possible. I am able to take in a lot without being frustrated by it. I'm not afraid of chaotic circumstances, and I am not afraid to confront the bull by the horns, taking charge of the situation while others sit back and take refuge in rules and procedures.
Excellent. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Let's give her a hand. Communication. Anybody have that? Mr. Patton, communication.
I am best at handling things, dealing with communication. I like to explain, to describe, to host, to speak in public, and to write. They're all getting it. I am creative and I express ideas well. At the very core of this talent is an intrinsic ability to keep people interested and to seek and generate new information with each and every task.
Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent. Let's give a round of applause. Woo. Did anybody have woo as in their top 5? Mrs. Corona.
I win others over easily. I relate to other people easily and use this trait to get them on my side. I never run out of things to say and often initiate conversations with others. People find I'm sympathetic and understand. I have a sympathetic and understanding friend. They find a sympathetic and understanding friend in me, so they're able to open up easily.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
We'll work through it. Let's give her a round of applause. Analytical. Did anybody have that in their top 5? Nobody. Oh, Julie, why don't you take another one, Julie?
I intimidate other people easily, seeking things to be proven first before following them. While I don't necessarily want to destroy other people's ideas, I often insist that their ideas be sound and safe. I often see myself as an objective person, often wanting to get into the root of things.
Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Excellent. Let's give her a round of applause. Connectedness. Did anyone have connectedness in their top 5? Okay, since everybody's having a hard time seeing it, I'm just going to take it. Do anybody have a problem with that? I'll take it. Connectedness. I am sure that things happen for a reason and have a firm grasp of how the collective behaves. I have a sense and an awareness of the bigger picture. This allows me to take responsibilities that are rooted for a genuine concern for others and for other cultures, and make the best decisions that are attuned to difference. That's connectedness. Intellection. I love the picture. Anybody have that in their top 5? Would you take it, Kelly?
Yeah, it was my number 1. I am stimulated by mental activity. I like spending time alone to ponder and reflect. As a result, I often see possibilities that others don't see. I do not hesitate to think differently from the rest. As a result, I usually instigate others to question and challenge the norms, which could be stifling the company I am working for.
Would you agree with that?
Yes.
That's you? Excellent. Let's give her a round of applause. Includer. Now I'm assuming all of you people are being honest with me. Darcy, you had number includer? Excellent.
One, yes. I am careful not to alienate anyone in my group or company. I actively avoid cliques and strive to create environments that will be comforting for everyone. I am sensitive to each and every person's needs and strive to nurture them no matter what the task.
Do you agree that that's you? Excellent. Let's give her a round of applause. Excellent. Futuristic. Top 5, anyone? Mrs. Maglioka, would you take that?
I should look at the horizon and anticipate the future. This will be an important source of inspiration for me and for the people surrounding me. I am a dreamer who is filled with visions of what I could be, and I often find strength in the visions that most fascinate me.
Do you find that accurate?
Mr. Carmelo, 2603, please.
Belief. Anyone have belief in the top 5? Mrs. Barker, would you mind taking that?
Sure. I have specific core values that are enduring. Whatever personal beliefs I hold, I consistently hold out for things that are altruistic, spiritual, and ethical, and look for these in everything I do. I often look for meaning in what I do and remind people of the reason and purpose of their work and responsibilities.
I think that's accurate?
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Mrs. Barker. Consistency. Top 5, anyone? Melissa? Okay.
I value balance and strive to maintain it, fairness. Maybe I need new glasses. Unselfishness and consistency are important values for you or for me, and I strive to uphold them in any endeavor I do. I steer away from giving favors in circumstances that will compromise my fairness.
Is that accurate? Excellent. Let's give her a round of applause. Focus. Anyone have focus in their top 5? Mr. Gifford, would you read focus?
Top 5.
Well.
I keep goals well, maintaining an eye on the things that are important to me. I constantly evaluate actions to see how well they help me in my long-term goals in life. I help maintain order in a team or a company, reminding others of what our truly important things are.
Excellent. Even though it wasn't one of your top 5.
Well, I've been number 6, but we'll
Competition. Anyone have competition in their top 5? Mrs. Rogers.
You always compare yourself to others. You have a means of determining how others are doing and use it to your advantage. You're instinctively aware of how others are performing and use that to gauge where I am and what I have accomplished. I am competitive and am driven by a need to win.
Would you think that's accurate?
Sometimes.
Give her a round of applause. Competition. Come on, we're getting right here. Deliberative. Rose, would you take that, please?
Sure. I am good at assessing risks, often bringing them out in the open to be dissected and evaluated. I see the intricacies of each choice informing my decisions well. Beside me, others seem reckless as I am careful and plan things out carefully.
You think that's accurate? Excellent. Let's give her a round of applause. Activator. Anyone have an activator in their top 5?
Is that you?
That's me. I'll take that one. I am impatient for action. Once decisions are made and plans are mapped out, activators are often quick to take on tasks and responsibilities, believing that action is the best device for learning. Activators make the best momentum for any company or team. Context. Mr. Packman.
I look back to understand the present. I remember past experiences well and make the most of the knowledge and experiences it presents to me. I have a clear vantage point of things past and use it as a gains to gauge my actions and decisions at the moment.
Excellent. You think that's accurate?
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent. Let's give him a round of applause. Discipline. Anyone have discipline?
I do.
Brian.
My world is predictable and safe. Planning and a sense of order are important to me. So I often impose structure and find comfort in routines. However, my predictable ways are also a source of structure in any team and in any task as I develop more dependable practices. I am diligent and keep a well-maintained sense of operations for different things.
Is that accurate?
It's pretty accurate.
Excellent. Let's give Brian a round of applause. Significance. Did anyone have significance in their top 5?
I did, I already got it.
So does Amanda.
Amanda?
Yeah.
Okay.
I seek to be recognized by others and contributions known. I want to be heard and stand out. I strive to build credibility and reputation. This drive helps to fuel my success in any endeavor I choose.
Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job.
Excellent. Self-assurance. Top 5, anyone? I am confident in my strengths. This allows me to engage more risk and challenges because I'm often assured that I can handle them and deliver in the end. I know what makes me unique and rely on these traits to overcome obstacles. Self-assurance. Command. Mr. Gifford, would you please read command? This was one of your top 5?
This is number 3.
Okay.
I like to take charge. I have no qualms imposing my view on others and compel them to think and act the same way as me. I push others to take risks and control complex situations no matter how unpleasant they are. People are often drawn towards me and trust the decision I make for them.
Do you agree with that?
I do. I don't know if how well they're drawn to me, but I definitely take command of the situation.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gifford. Let's give him a round of applause. That takes a little bit of time to get through that activity, but it's all about owning each and every one of the talents, which I suspect, in getting to know all of you a little bit here today, in a strengths-based way, some of you probably will end up finding yourselves purchasing the full 34 because I think you're intrigued by what the remaining talents are. That's why it's really important, not only, even if you don't go beyond your top 5 talents, fully understanding the top 34 is important because you're going to be working with people that have different talents and fully understanding what those talents are. I'm going to ask that if you haven't already done it to take out your theme insight cards. Become a little bit familiar with those, and over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you a very short period of time. I want to ask you to complete one theme map, the best that you can in 10 minutes. We're going to end today's program with those that feel comfortable standing up and sharing one of their theme maps. As we leave here, I gave you 5, because in the perfect world to me, if you were to get to know your talents the best way you can, you're going to complete all 5 of those on your own. So you've got 10 minutes to complete one theme map. doesn't necessarily have to be your top talent. It can be any of your top 5. Go ahead. Let me take 1 second to apologize. I really did not give you much direction on this. Let me just take a moment to give you some direction on this. The activity, again, the purpose of the activity is for you to become more comfortable with any particular talent by answering these particular questions. That's what we're calling it a map, that you will eventually find yourself feeling comfortable with the talent. Characteristics, words that best describe me or you as you're completing it. The insight cards, you will find key words that you can take off of that insight card to put on your theme map. The value that I bring. On the insight card, there actually should be a statement that talks about the value of that particular talent. It'll be an I love value, I hate value. Make it your own. You don't necessarily have to take what's on the card, but it gives you an idea of what we're looking for. The role that I play. These are words that best describe who you are in the context that you want to create. It might not be in work. Maybe you want to do this, the role that I play in my own home, or in a relationship, or in work. Wherever it might be, put words down that you can best feel comfortable with that describe that talent and its relationship with you. The needs that you have of that particular talent, and I think that there are also some key words on the insight cards to help you better understand the needs that you have with that particular talent. And lastly, your motivations. What I love about the talent, what I hate about the talent. I don't like the word hate. What I dislike about the talent, or what I dislike about knowing that that's one of my top 5 talents. Hopefully that gives you a little bit better direction. Go ahead. Okay, we're going to wrap up here with this activity. Again, I'd encourage all of you in the process of owning your talents. It would be very beneficial for all of you to complete all 5 of your theme maps. You can do it on your own. I will not talk about your theme maps again over the next few hours that we're together. It is not homework. It's simply an extension activity for all of you to consider. So anyone that would like to step out of their comfort zone, or maybe it's in their comfort zone, and share with us a completed theme map. I know I didn't give you much time. Mrs. Corona, you can be the first one to go. Would you please stand up, speak loud and clear because you are being videotaped.
I did woo, so we actually have to go.
Woo, okay.
I thought that a lot of them are the same in the top, but the characteristics that describe me are social, energetic, and a fast talker. I bring social and outgoing personality, and I like to bring others together. The role I play is talkative, and I was trying to think of the right word to say. I like to have company around, have people to relate to and socialize with. I need to have people in my life and chances to communicate, and my motivation are other people, and I don't like that it appears bold or superficial.
So after having completed that activity and using the theme insight cards, do you better understand woo?
Yeah, I understood it before.
You understood it before?
That was me.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sarah. Anybody else want to share their theme map? Brian, why don't you go ahead?
Mine was achiever. The characteristics are working hard, stamina, and productivity. The role I play as a project leader, or I try to lead by example, or I help to set goals for teams. My motivations, what I love and what I hate. So what I hate is kind of overcommitment to something, hard to say no to things. What I actually love, what I put here is the race. On the card, it says completing the race or just getting to the finish line. I don't like the competition necessarily, but I actually like pushing myself.
Yep, yep.
The needs I have, freedom to work at my own pace. I like to check things off the list. And the value I bring is that I get things done.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that. Excellent.
I'm an includer. I like to shrink the gaps and I have a high level of tolerance. The role I play is I'm an inclusion teacher, so better inclusion teacher. I love being with people and I love including everyone. As far as what I hate, I don't hate anything about it. I think includer is awesome.
Okay.
And positivity is my third one, so I just figured that's because I'm just so positive about
Yep.
things.
Yep.
Needs I have, everyone needs to have a place and something to do and something to contribute, and the value I bring is integration.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that, Darcy. Excellent. Anyone else? Brian, why don't you go ahead?
I did one for the developer. Characteristics would be patient or encouraging. The value I bring is a commitment to human growth. I like to look to get others to want more or to do better. The role I would play would be a coach, a tutor, a mentor. Needs I have is someone to invest in, others to want to have that need to learn and grow. Things I love are human potential and progress. And things I hate are wasted or unrealized potential.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Brian. I want to take the time, we could be here all day going over these. I want to take the time to just say a few words in wrapping up here. On the Gallup Strength Center website are documents that I printed in color for all of you. I'm actually going to sort these out by domain. This domain right here, let's see, I already got them out of order here. What did I do with my sheet? Let me make sure I put these in the right order here. Okay, so this I do it in order. This is the executing domain. So anybody that wants to take these, you can take them. If you don't want to take them, if you go on to gallupcenter.com, it's going to give you your gallupstrengthcenter.com, and you click on it. Did anybody see the videos? Did anybody take the time to watch the videos? Right next to the video tab, there's a button to click, and it'll open up a document. That's these documents. I just printed them for you if you wanted to take them. So what I'm going to do is this is going to be the executing domain. So any domain that you want a document, find a document of the executing domain will be here. That domain will be the influencing. That domain over there will be building relationships, and this table over here will be strategic thinking. If you want to take them, you don't have to. You can simply go on and print them yourself off of the website. Okay? For those of you that are coming back, and hopefully you are all coming back, the HFM BOCES cohort will be meeting on April 22nd at the HFM BOCES training, which I believe is the bottom floor. HFM BOCES Training Center for the HFM BOCES cohort. The Broadalbin-Perth cohort will be back here in this room on April 30th, which I think it's Wednesday, the April 22nd, and Thursday, April 30th. We will be back here. We will spend less time on PowerPoint. In fact, I did not even develop a PowerPoint for the second session. A lot of activities, a lot of group work, a lot of deep discussion leading into our conversations about teaming and how we can use these strengths to build on our teams, productivity and whatnot back in the district. Are there any questions, burning concerns, thoughts, anything to share with one another as we wrap up today? In the end, you will be getting an evaluation of my performance and your learning of your strengths. I ask you that if you find enjoyment in this, there is so much more to learn than what you're actually going to get from the 6 hours that we're spending together. Dive yourself into it, and I promise you it will be an awesome journey, both personally and professionally. Thank you very much for being here today. And it looks like the sun is out, and it's going to be out for another couple of hours. Thank you very much. So,